this is Heather. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! In Spokane, Washington. Come to you live every Wednesday night with new projects to share with you and show you how I made them. If you're new to us, to our little group, welcome. I'm glad you could come. And if you are returning, thank you. You are a huge part of what helps build this community. And as I have mentioned time and time again, and will continue to mention over and over, I love what we do here on Wednesday nights. This is the best part of my whole week. So thank you for coming back. So let's see, give everybody a moment or two to get on while I pull this up on my main screen so that I can see comments and all that good stuff. Let's see here. Okay. Stuff up. Okay. There we go. I'm on the big screen now, and I have it muted, so you only have to hear me once. Hey, Marcia, welcome. Looks like we've got a few people here already. I apologize. I was late, and I did not get a reminder posted today, so I hope people don't go, oh, I don't think she's having it tonight. She didn't get it on, and then not come. So I hope people still can join us. As I mentioned last week, I am having neck surgery tomorrow, and I don't know what that recovery is going to look like. I had shoulder surgery in December that went really, really, really well. And my surgeon told me I could expect this to be similar. So who knows how quick I'll be back in action. Oh, thank you for sharing, Marcia. I appreciate that. Hey, Kathy, welcome. But anyway, my point here is keep an eye on my Facebook page and on Instagram, where I post updates, because I'll let you know when I am coming back live again. You know what? If this ends up being like my shoulder surgery was, I might be back in action next week. I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I also know neck surgery it seems like it should be a lot bigger than shoulder surgery. So I don't know. We'll play it by ear. We'll see what happens. Lucy and I are going to be quite the pair because I will have my oh so attractive neck brace on, and she has a cone on right now. She got a cyst between two of her toes. It looks like they're not that uncommon. They're caused by an ingrown hair, so we've been, keeping that clean and Epsom salt baths and, all that good stuff. But she has a cone around her neck so that she will not lick it. So I'm sure the two of us are going to be quite the pair. Talina's joined us. Welcome, Talina. Oh, thank you, Marcia. I appreciate that. Joyce has joined us. Hey, Joyce. So I only have 2 cards for you tonight. I know normally I have 3. Work was crazy because, as I mentioned before, the first 2 weeks of the month are always super crazy because we're doing month-end stuff from the month before. But I have been kind of double timing it, trying to get as much done as I can, because I won't be in the office for the last few days of our month-end process, and that tends to be when it's the most intense for us. So I've been working hard to try to get as much done as I can. So not as many cards got made, and I'm sorry, guys. My screen is frozen. Hey, Judy, welcome. So I'm gonna back out of this really quick. No, you be quiet, Heather. I'm gonna back out and then see if I go back in, if that helps. Okay, so I'm not frozen now on my screen. Let me know if I'm freezing on your screen as well. Nobody had said anything, so I hope that my screen was the only one. You guys probably just saw Lucy walk by with her cone of shame. So yeah, she's sort of getting used to it, but she certainly doesn't like it, and she does keep crashing into walls. So, okay, John says I'm good on his end, so good. Okay, and by the way, welcome, John. Okay, so I'm going to turn this around. I did not get a chance to get our prize done for this week, for last week's conversation stuff. So I will, not sure how I'll do that, because next time I go live, I will award it next time. So next time, count on there being 2 prizes. There will be the one that I should have awarded tonight, and then the one that I will award for tonight. Now, those of you who are new, to let you know what I'm talking about, I love to encourage you guys to have conversations going on, whether you're talking to me, talk to each other, ask questions, answer questions, any of the above. And so to encourage that, every week I do a drawing, and everybody who has participated in the conversation somehow the week before, your name goes in the drawing, and I award the prize at that week's live. Now, I don't want to disinclude anybody who's watching this on a replay, so you get to participate too, even if you're watching on a replay. If you're watching the replay, at the very least, say hello, tell me where you're from. I love to hear where everybody's from. But again, still, feel free to ask questions, make comments. I do go back to those comments and try to answer questions and things like that if in fact you asked a question, okay? So let's turn the camera around. I want to show you the new catalog, which I did introduce last week, but for those of you who missed it, I just want to give you another sneak peek. Well, it's not a sneak peek anymore, it's available. If you are not currently working with a demonstrator and you would like a hard copy of this catalog, let me know. You can send me an email, which you'll see my email address in a minute, or you can just send me a private message here on Facebook. Let me know you want a catalog and give me your address, and I'm happy to mail one out to you. I do have some catalogs that I'm getting ready to mail out already, so if I promised you a catalog, hang in there, it's coming. So anyway, I'm going to turn the camera around now. Hang on. Okay. Look at that, you guys. Look how straight that almost is, right on the first try. Can you believe it? Oh, thank you, Judy. Those of you guys who've been around for a while know how I get all worked up over the camera being straight because it bothers me. And so for this to happen on the first try, this is a really good sign, you guys. Okay. So, new catalog. This is an amazing catalog. Stampin' Up! Really outdid themselves this time. There's, lots of new ribbons and some new embellishments, papers, all sorts of stuff. If you're already thinking about getting going on your Christmas cards, and you probably should be if you like to make your cards and send them out, because let's face it, it takes a little time to do that, to get them all made, right? So this is the catalog that has all of our Christmas stuff in it. But it's not just Christmas stuff. There's all the fall holidays. There's Halloween, there's Thanksgiving, there's some general fall stuff. It's a fun catalog. And there's some general stuff that really has nothing to do with any particular holiday. Like, this one here called Curved Occasions. And you get a punch that has a little curve so you can make the little things move around on that little curve like that. There's this thermos one. Okay, I love this thermos one. Anybody else here that's watching, does anybody else know what I'm talking about? If I say, all I need is this thermos, just this thermos and this chair. All I need is this thermos and this chair and this fork. Anybody? Anyone? I'll give you a minute to guess it. First person to guess it, I will send you a prize because it is a quote from my favorite movie of all time. And if you know it, then I know we are destined to be friends forever and ever and ever. Amen. Hey, Colleen, welcome. So, giving guys a chance to respond on this one because it's a good one. And it's a movie that if you have not seen, my heart absolutely breaks for you. Because like I said, it is my all-time favoriteest movie in the world. So, while you're thinking about that, let's get going on our cards. This first card that I have for you, nope, Joyce, good. That's a good guess. It is, I will say though, Joyce, you are on the right track in that it is stupid, funny humor. So it's not like a rom-com or anything like that. It's just stupid funny. Okay. So this first card, this is such a simple card. You guys are going to love this because it's so easy and you can do it with so many different stamp sets, so many different colors, so many different themes. It's very, very basic and you guys are just going to love having this in your arsenal. So we're going to use the Magical Meadow bundle. That means I'm using the dies and the stamps that you can purchase together. And remember, when something comes as a bundle, what that means, you can order the stamps separately. You can order the dies separately, but if you order the bundle, you get a 10% discount. I think it's 10% discount to purchase both. So that's what I'm referring to when I call something a bundle. Then we're also going to use the Go-To Greetings stamp set. This is a great stamp set because it has all the basic greetings. Happy birthday, thinking of you, just a note, thank you. And there's even a teeny tiny little hello. And it's in various fonts. And that's what I love about it is when I need a basic greeting, I can get this and I can see, okay, what size fits, what font fits. It's just really, really versatile. Okay, I haven't seen any guesses, so I'm going to tell you guys. It's The Jerk. The movie is The Jerk with Steve Martin. And it's when he's leaving his house and he's standing there in his robe and his marriage is ending and he's saying, all I need is this thermos and this chair. All I need is this thermos and this chair and this fork. And he's loading up his arms with stuff. That's the best. It's the best movie of all time. Again, if you have not seen it, it is a must-see. Okay, so here's the card, you guys. Simple stamping on the envelope, but you know what? If you want to make it even simpler, take a piece of designer series paper and put it on there, right? And then here's the card. Very, very basic. And I'm going to show you guys how to do it. And all it took to make this card is a little bit more than one piece of cardstock. That's it. So let me show you how we did it. So we're going to start by doing the envelope. Well, and you know what? Let's do the envelope and the card base because part of the card base is going to get stamped. So this one, the card base, is just your standard card base. It's 8.5 by 5.5, and see 8.5 inches this way, 5.5 this way, and I scored it in the middle at 4 1/4. Hey, Nell, welcome. We're just getting started, so you've got great timing. John says it's been years since he's seen that movie. John, I think it's time for you to see it again. You need a refresher. But then I, on the other hand, I hardly ever rewatch movies. You got to know that. The ending never changes, so I just hardly ever rewatch movies. I have seen The Jerk. I probably watch it at least 2 or 3 times a year. I love that movie. Okay, so now what we're going to do, you folded your card base, right? Now you're going to take your trimmer and put it in at 1 inch, and you're just going to cut 1 inch off of one end. And now you have the front of your card, okay? That's easy peasy. And this piece that we just cut off, right here, this is what we're going to use to stamp our sentiment. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of stamping first. And sometimes, you know, when you have a new fresh blade, which I do, it cuts, it creates kind of this weird little lip on the edge of your paper, and you can't see it. I can't show it to you on the screen, but you can feel it when it's there. Just take your bone folder and go over it. It flattens it back out. Okay, now for this, we're going to be using Tahitian Tide and Granny Apple Green, and I want to do my sentiment in Tahitian Tide, and I chose Just a Note. So I'm going to line it up, try to get it, make sure it's straight. You don't have to worry about centering it. I mean, you want to center it up and down, but you don't have to worry about centering it that way because we're going to trim that down anyway. So now I'm going to clean off my stamp. I re-inked a bunch of my stamp pads today, so they're very, very inky, which means it takes just a little bit more work to clean the stamps off. Okay, now, I want to leave that open. I'm going to take my Granny Apple Green. Let's move this out of the way before I do some sort of damage to it. And my good old-fashioned piece of scrap paper here. And you're just going to put it under the lip of your, or under the flap of your envelope so that you don't end up accidentally stamping all over the envelope. And I'm just stamping kind of in random patterns here. Nothing too particular. Just like that. Oh, lots of shaking today when I clean off my stamps. Sorry about that. Okay, John. Oh, thank you, Nell. Nell says it's one of her all-time favorites, too. There are so many lines from that movie that I could quote. Oh, Joyce loves it, too. Yes, I randomly share quotes all the time, and people look at me the same way, Joyce. I so understand. I so understand. Okay, so now I'm going to take the Granny Apple Green, and I'm just going to stamp a few more, fill in some space here. Again, no particular pattern, just adding some color to that envelope is really all I'm doing. Okay, so my question for you, John, you know, we may have other men on here, and if we do, welcome. But because you're the only one that I know of, I'm going to pick on you a little bit to test a theory, okay? Is that okay with you, John? I'll give him a chance. Oh, Walgreens was calling, probably to let me know my prescriptions are ready. So we'll give John a sec to, you know, defend himself and say, no, I can't pick on him. Yes, okay, he says sure. Okay, anybody else on here a fan of TikTok? I play on TikTok all the time. It's the biggest time killer, time waster of all time. Okay, now before I move on from that, I want to show you, I already pre-did these just because there were so many of them. I was afraid it would take us a long time to stamp them and die cut them all. But I took the same stamp that I used on my envelope and I stamped 2 of them also in the same color. So 2 in the Granny Apple Green and 2 in Tahitian Tide. And then I die cut them. Now I'm going to set one of them aside. And I'm going to take these 3 and I'm going to glue them on the edge. Right here where I've cut, it's going to be on the edge, but I want them to go all the way. They're going to glue on this end, but I want them to overlap all the way to the edge of the card. See how I've done that? Okay, that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so anyway, John, here we go. On TikTok, there's this thing going around that is encouraging women to ask their husbands about this. I don't have a husband, so you get to be my pretend husband tonight. I'm sure your wife loves that. But they're saying that all men think about the Roman Empire. Like, that, not that that's all they think about, but they all spend a weird amount of time thinking about the Roman Empire. And so these women are going to their husbands and saying, okay, do you think about the Roman Empire? And they're all coming back and going, you know, maybe once or twice a day or once or twice a week, you know, whatever. But they're all coming back saying, yes, they do. I asked my son, I let him pretend to be my husband. I'm sure he loved that. And I asked him, he said he never thinks about the Roman Empire because he finds the Greeks more interesting. So here we are, same theory, I guess, only he's thinking about the Greeks, not the Romans. So what about you, John? Do you think about the Roman Empire? Okay, now I'm letting this overlap a little bit. Like I could put it so it's just right next to the green one, but I really did want it to overlap a little. So I'm putting it right there. I like this color combination too, Joyce. I think it's just really pretty. And I'm going to let it overlap a little here too. Now it's not going, in this case I haven't spread them out well enough, so it's not going all the way to the top, but that's okay. I don't really care. Oops, I just bent it so it kind of went another direction there. And that's kind of what happens when you use liquid glue if you're not being careful, Heather. Put a little glue under that piece right there. Okay, we're still waiting to hear from John and his theories about the Roman Empire. Okay, well, now I'm taking my glue eraser, my adhesive eraser. I ended up getting a little bit of glue on my card when I got a little overzealous there and my leaf moved around. And so I'm just erasing that extra glue off. This is not a product Stampin' Up! Sells, but you can buy them on Amazon for just a couple bucks. I don't know. John says no. Why would they think about that? I have no idea. But it was shocking how many men said, well, yeah, of course I think about that. So now I'm, you know, every man who has the misfortune of crossing my path is being accosted with that question. And it's not really a challenge per se. It's just, I don't know. One woman, I guess somehow it came up with her husband. She thought it was odd. So she was asking women, how many of your husbands do this? And so all these other women are replying saying, mine does it too. It's weird. Okay. So now here's what I did with the 4th leaf that I did. open this up. Oh yeah, here's the other thing. I stamped on my paper and then decided I didn't like the way it stamped, like it didn't stamp dark enough or whatever, so I ringed my pads and then did it and forgot that the back side has ink all over it. So yeah, don't do that. Don't do what I did. Okay, now this one, what you're going to do is very lightly put glue all over the back of this one. Again, little goes a very long way, so you know, just enough to wet it basically, and then line it up exactly with the bottom one. Why is this not lining up right? Okay, this is weird because it lined up right. Because I'm silly. That's why. Because I'm doing it the wrong direction. Duh. Okay, so line it up. See how now that it's going the right direction, you just line it up exactly with that one and then close your card. Now, there's going to be a little bit of glue. I'm going to have a little bit of a problem because I laid it down and got some glue on the inside there. So I'm going to have to wash that off with my adhesive eraser. But that's what I did. You lay it face down so that it lines up with the bottom one. And then you glue it here. You end up closing your card and you glue it so when it's closed, it doesn't even show up. So it's kind of a fun little surprise when they open the card. And you know, if you have your brain going in the right direction and you don't lay it down with the glue side down, then you don't have to do what I'm doing right now, which is erasing all the glue on this side. And I may have to come back and do this in a little bit, give it a little bit of a chance to dry a little bit better. And that way too, I'm not wasting your time while you watch me erase glue. Actually though, it's coming off really nicely. Okay, there we go. So, but I love that this is hidden when the card is closed, so it's just kind of a fun little surprise. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take, this is the piece, remember this is the piece that we cut off that side, and then we stamped our sentiment. And if you wanted, you could even, like say you wanted a smaller sentiment. I chose one that was tall enough to fit this whole piece. If you wanted to, you could take like a die cut. We have plenty of die cuts that are banner shaped with all the different fun edges or whatever. But I wanted to keep this one simple for you guys. So there we go. I just cut off the edges there at an angle. And now I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back. And I'm just peeling my dimensionals off, peeling the backs off right now. And figure out about where you want it. I think I liked it to be right about here. And make sure it's straight-ish, because remember, we strive for ish, not perfection. And mine wasn't even straight-ish. Let's see, if I hold it up this way, sometimes it's easier for me to do that. Okay, so now it just needs a little extra something, right? So we have these beautiful little embellishments. These are in the new mini catalog. Those of you who've seen the new mini catalog in person, gotten your hands on it, gotten to rifle through it, who loves it? And what's your favorite thing in it? These are the adhesive-backed glitter sequins. They're kind of fun. They're flat, so they don't add a lot of dimension to your card. So when you're mailing something, you don't have to worry about it adding any bulk. But they're just these flat little discs. And I'm going to put a whole bunch of them on my card. And they come in, the little discs are 2 different sizes. You've got the large ones and then the smaller ones. And so I just started kind of randomly putting them all over my card. I'm going to try to sort of copy what I did before because I liked the way that turned out actually. And let's see, I put a big green one in and this is actually where somebody commented earlier that they liked this color pattern. This is where I got the idea for the color pattern actually. Okay, put another one right about there. put another little one right there. And then there's these little, they're kind of silvery. It's kind of cool because they're not like a really bold silver. You'll see when it's on the paper, you see a little bit of shimmer, but it's not like it really stands out like the green and the blue ones do. And just one more, maybe right there. And there you go. There's the card. Wasn't that simple? Nell says she's really liking those daisy masks that are in the new catalog. Those are very cool. I'm excited to see more people do things with those because I really like them and I'm very intrigued by them. Okay, so card number 1, there we go. Like I said, you could do this type of card with so many different stamp sets. Can you imagine like maybe little Christmas stockings down the side there and a Merry Christmas there, little snowmen, hearts at Valentine's Day. There's just, like I said, you take this basic layout and you could do so many different things with them. And all I used was slightly more than one sheet of, well, no, it wasn't even a whole sheet of cardstock because it's only a half of a sheet for the card itself. And then, you know, these, it's probably, you know, maybe a strip that's 1.5 inches wide by 11. I mean, hardly any paper at all. It would take you less than one sheet of cardstock. Okay, so our second card that I have for you guys. You guys, I've had this card in the back of my head for quite some time now, and I'm so excited. I love it. I think it's adorable, and I hope you love it too. And it is using the Hello Ladybug set. I've used this a few times, and I love it because I just think she's adorable. And you know what's funny? One of my favorite stamps on this set is this one here, because I think it looks like she's smirking, and that just, I don't know, that makes me happy. I don't know why, it just does. Yet I have never used her. Isn't that funny? But she makes me happy. And then we're going to use the punch that goes with it, Ladybug Builder. And this is kind of fun because you can do what we're going to do tonight, where we're going to stamp it and then punch it out so it's got a little bit of a white border around it. You could also stamp the body in black and the wings in red, and then stamp some, you could use these stamps right here to stamp some spots on the wings. So there's a lot of different ways that this could play out that you could use it. And then I'm also using my painted texture embossing folder. I've done this before, so some of you guys have seen this, where I'm going to take this leaf and I'm going to run it through the embossing folder. I love it because it just gives that leaf a little bit of extra texture to it, making it a little bit more realistic. So let's get going with this card. Look at her and her little red polka dots. Isn't she adorable? She makes me giddy. She makes me giddy. And then there's the inside of the card. Very, very simple. And the colors we're going to use on her, we're using Real Red. We're also going to use Lemon Lime Twist, and we're using the Black Stays On ink. Now, part of the reason I am using the Black Stays On ink instead of the Memento, hello Judy, instead of using the Memento is because for some reason there's just something, it must have to do with the makeup of the ink itself. When you are using really bold stamps like the Ladybug body is, it seems to cover the stamp just a little more fully. You get, I don't even know how to describe it. You just get a more solid image. Unfortunately, we're not going to find that to be the case tonight because mine is getting low on ink and I need to buy a refill. But I do want you to know that, like, see how on her little back end there, how it's, it just doesn't look fully stamped there, like I didn't get enough ink there. Usually, if you have a fully inked Stays On pad, it won't do that. And so I do recommend having one of these on hand so that when you have stamps like this that are the real bold images like that, it is nice to use those. You get that nice black image. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to polka dot our envelope. So, got my envelope here. I've got my handy dandy little piece of scrap paper. I've got a sponge dauber. You guys, sponge daubers are great. They're $5. You get a pack of 5 of them. And I do not have one for every single color, but I typically have like one for my greens, one for my blues. I did use a fresh one for this because I wanted a very red polka dot, and I didn't want it to kind of have some of the undertone of other shades of red that we have. But usually I let them share. So you put it on your finger as if it were an olive on Thanksgiving, and then you just start polka dotting. Just random. And you don't want it to be too perfect of a pattern. So our envelope is done. Now another piece that we're going to do this on is a piece of basic white, and I'm just going to do it right now because I have the red ink out and I have my sponge dauber on my finger. So we're going to do it all over this piece of basic white. This piece is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. So we're going to do the same thing, and we're just going to make little polka dots all over. You know, another thing I was thinking is this card would even be fun if you chose to get away from the traditional red and black of a ladybug. Wouldn't it be fun in like pinks or purples or turquoise, still with the ladybug, just instead of making her red, make her one of those other fun colors. Okay, all right, so that looks good. And then I'm just trying to get a little bit of that extra off on my scrap paper over here, just so that when I throw it in my bin, there's not a bunch of excess ink that's going to get all over everything. Oh, I'm not done with red, so I might as well leave that out. Let's get all of our stamping done since all the ink pads are out. Our card base, by the way, is your standard card base. It's 8 1/2 inches by 5 1/2 inches, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So let's go ahead and get that ready, and then we'll move it out of the way. Okay, now for the inside of the card, this piece is 5 1/4 by 4, and what I chose to do here is I just did the corner, I did the leaf in one of the corners just to give it a little bit of something, some color. So inking up my stamp, and I'm just going to stamp this right here in the corner just like this. And there we go. I'm not even going to bother to clean the stamp because I'm going to be using it here again in just a moment with that same color. But let's go ahead and glue this to the inside of the card. Here's got my stamp and seal that I think is going to run out any minute now, so we may need to refill it. Okay, so just put it right here on the inside. There we go. Now, I have these little scraps of paper. They're not any particular size. They are just little scraps. And then I also have these little pieces. We're going to use these to do our sentiment, but we'll hold off on that for just a minute. Let me get rid of all these little plastic bags I've got going on here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bigger scrap and I'm going to do a leaf again. Ink it up well. And then just fit it on here as best you can. There we go. And I do really like this stamp because I like that it has the veins in the leaves. So even if you don't emboss it like we're going to, you still have a little bit, it gives you a little bit of texture and dimension, the look of texture and dimension on your card. And now I'm going to put this one away. Excuse me. Next, I've got another scrap of white, and I'm going to stamp, since I've got the red out, let's do the wings of our little butterfly. And we're just going to put it right, well, I want to make sure that it fits. It might not be quite wide enough. There we go. There. Now, depending on what you want to do, there is the stamp that I showed you that does the spots. This stamp that does the spots, they do perfectly line up with this stamp as well. So if we wanted to stamp the black dots on there, we could. Or if we wanted, like I mentioned earlier, where you could punch out the wings with red and then use the stamp to stamp black spots on, you could do that as well. And let's put that away. Now I'm going to go ahead and punch this out. The thing about the punch is if your paper isn't in just the right angle, it doesn't quite work. So you want to make sure everything lines up right. Like, see how it's going to punch out a bit of the body there? So I prefer to stamp my two pieces separately, stamp it and then punch it out, and then stamp the next one, because I don't want to accidentally cut off part of my bug's head or whatever. And as it is, that piece may not be big enough now. Let's see. Oh yeah, she'll be big enough. But if you find that it isn't big enough to stamp your body, you could always go and just get another scrap. Joyce, that is a fantastic idea. Joyce suggested a red and green card would make a cute little Christmas ladybug. You could put like a little bit of holly on her head or something. That would be adorable. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. Let's stamp her body now. I'm getting ready to place a supply order. So let's all say a little prayer that this time I remember to order my Stays On refill. Okay, so stamp it on there. Oh no, oh, it worked out okay. Okay, now Stays On ink, I've mentioned this before. Stays On ink does stain your stamp like this. But the thing is, you clean your stamp and see it's not, well, I obviously didn't clean my stamp very well. Let's try this again to prove my theory. But it doesn't leave black behind. It's doing it right now because it's wet. But when it's dry, see, it's not leaving ink on my hand. It's not going to impact stamping in the future with other colors is what I'm trying to tell you. So even though it does stain the pad, it doesn't impact future stamping. Okay, so now let's go ahead and punch her out. I may have to do a little cutting here because, you know, there's ways you can line it up first where you make sure that when you stamp your image, it's the right angle, so that you just slide it right into the punch and everything fits properly. I like to make things difficult for myself apparently, so I just stamp and then adjust my paper as needed. So see, I'm lining it up and you can see where your that white halo around your image is to make sure it looks relatively even all the way around your ladybug's body. I love her little fat body. I mean, isn't that adorable? And why? Why are fat bodies adorable on babies and bugs and not so much middle-aged women? I really take issue with that. Okay, so now put a little bit of glue just right at the top of the wings like that. And I'm going to line them up right here. Put her little superhero cape on. See, now she's a superhero ladybug. Okay. Next in line, what we're going to do is we're going to take our leaf. You know what? Let's put a few things together just because, you know, I don't like to have loose pieces just lying all around. Okay, oh, and I forgot to stamp my sentiment, which I should have done while I had the black ink out. So we'll do that here in a moment. Line this up. Get it centered-ish on the real red piece. The real red piece is 5 1/4 by 4. Again, this white piece is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. So it's only 1/8 of an inch smaller than the real red. And we can go ahead and put this on our card now. Yeah, we're running out of paper here. So let's go ahead and change this. Get a nice new refill in here. And it looks like I'll be buying a few more of these with my supply order as well. And all you have to do is okay, I just realized I have no idea. I think I threw away my other piece. I did. What is wrong with me, you guys? Okay. So the case has 2 pieces. One has these 2 little sticky uppy parts. Sticky uppy part is more than likely the technical term. Hey, Susan, welcome. Then what you're going to do is you are going to take these little sticky inny parts, again, technical terms, sorry to have to get so technical on you, and you're going to line them up like that. And then you just pinch that closed and you're good to go. Okay, so now we're going to put this on here centered-ish, as close to centered as we can get without having a heart attack. And let's move these out of the way for a moment. We're going to take the leaf, and you're going to have to fussy cut the leaf. You know, this leaf here, though, is, okay, I should put on my glasses, though. It's a whole lot easier to cut, fussy cut, when you wear your glasses, if in fact you need glasses. Okay, so this leaf is really super easy to fussy cut, and I'm going to show you why here in just a moment. So as I go around, you know, you leave a little halo. Make sure you're moving your paper. My paper was stuck on my hand. Move your paper, not your scissors. Now, the reason this leaf is so easy is see how it has all these little wiggly edges? Your cuts do not have to be exact. If your cuts are just kind of wiggly in some sort of a semblance to that pattern, it looks great. It doesn't have to be perfect. I do have a few things on my mind, Joyce. Okay, Jackson had a job interview last Friday. They told him he'd hear something this week, so I'm hoping he hears something in the next couple of days. It would be a great job for him. It's got benefits and vacation and all sorts of good stuff, so I'm really hoping he gets that. I think it would be really good for him on a lot of levels. So we've got that going on in my brain. You know, and then of course there's all the things going on in my brain that really shouldn't or don't need to. Oh my goodness, though, speaking of things that should go on in my brain that don't, you guys, I have the funniest story. I've been regaling people at work with the socially awkward adventures of Heather. And, you know, if you ever feel like you are socially awkward and you're kind of feeling bad about it, you give me a call, you let me know. In no time at all, you will be feeling so much better about your own social awkwardness. So, okay, let me get started on this leaf and then I will tell you my socially awkward story. Okay, so I'm taking the painted texture embossing folder and I'm just going to stick my leaf in there. Doesn't matter what direction at all. You do need to use the bigger cutting and embossing machine for this just because it's too wide for the regular machine. My embossing plate here. And we're just going to feed it through. Okay, so I am a glutton for punishment. And so I get these ideas that I think sound like really great ideas, and in hindsight, they probably are not. But at that point, I have to double down and convince myself that they were good ideas, right? Anyone else do this? Anyone? Okay, hang on, let me put this away. Okay, so I signed up on a couple of dating websites. I've used the online dating before. It was a positive experience, no big deal. And I like that, I can talk to people for a while before I decide I'm comfortable enough to meet them in person, right? Okay, so there was a gentleman that I had been talking to for a couple of weeks, and he invited me to go to dinner, and so I did. Okay, now I'm going to glue this just directly onto the card. I'm not going to use dimensionals or anything on it, and you could use whatever glue you want. I'm just happen to be using my liquid glue for this. Okay, so this gentleman asks me out to dinner. Great. Keep in mind, we've been talking for a couple of weeks up to this point, right? And we go to dinner, have a very nice time. He's a very nice gentleman. All goes well, blah, blah, blah. So the date is over. I come home and I'm telling Jackson about it. Okay, we've got our little ladybug girl. I want her to pop up a little bit. So we're going to put some dimensionals behind her. Okay, anyway, so I'm sitting here, I'm telling Jackson about my date, and it occurs to me that after 2 weeks of talking to this gentleman and now a full face-to-face date, I have no clue what his name is. Yeah. Now, at this point, I'm polling my friends, and I'm saying, how on earth do I find out his name at this point? I think the best suggestion I got, and you'll know why in a minute, was ask him how he spells it. Ask him, how do you spell your name? Because then now you know his name, right? Well, I finally got bold and I just told him, I said, I feel really dumb. We've talked this long. We actually met face to face. And it's occurred to me, whoops, sorry, I bonked that with my head. It's occurred to me, I don't even know your name. And then, of course, he thought that was really funny because it was just as silly for him that he hadn't even thought to tell me his name. So he thought that was pretty funny, and all was well. Now, the reason why it was so funny about asking how do you spell it is it turned out his name was Ron. Yeah, can you imagine if I'd asked him how do you spell your name? But anyway, so that's a big joke now. I think it's hysterical. All of that I then got myself to an awkward point where I didn't even know his name. Okay, it looks like I have some edges that are kind of sticking up a little funny just from my trimmer, like I mentioned earlier. So I'm taking my bone folder just to flatten them down. But yeah, that is the latest installment of the Socially Awkward Adventures of Heather, and I would be happy to share more as they happen because, well, based on my own life history, I can tell you there will be more socially awkward adventures. Okay, so now I've got my little sentiment. This one says, you can bug me anytime. And my little strip here is 2 1/8 by half an inch, I think. Yeah, 2 1/8 by half of an inch. It was just a scrap that I had. And now I'm going to line this up. I'm going to try to center it. Not always easy to do with the camera there. Oh, that's not bad at all. Clean off my stamp. Susan loves my dots. They're fun to do. You just take your little sponge dauber and you put them on your finger and then you just go to town. Okay, now I'm going to add a little glue to the back of that, and I'm going to mount it onto this piece of Real Red, which is 2 1/4 inches by 5/8 of an inch. And the reason I chose to use my liquid glue, I could use my my seal on that. That would have worked. But I do like, when I've got little margins like this, I do like to be able to wiggle it around a little bit just to make sure I get it straight, and I can do that with liquid glue. I got a little bit of red glue right there, so once this glue dries and I'm not worried about it moving around, I'll just take my sand eraser and erase that little blob of ink off. Sand erasers are, again, another product that Stampin' Up! Does not sell, but it's a couple bucks on Amazon. And you just go on here. I'm doing it pretty lightly right now just because I don't want to move that white piece around. But I want you to see, it just got rid of that little red bit. Nice and easy. So when you have a little tiny bit like that you got on there, it's really easy to get it off. We're going to put some dimensionals on this as well. And just in case anyone is concerned, because I have had people mention this in the past, when I do go on these dates with these gentlemen, because I don't know them yet very well, I do always share my location on my phone with Jackson so that, you know, if need be, he would be able to track me down. Okay, so I'm putting this at an angle, kind of right there. Ta-da! What do you think? See, another very simple card. Got our fun little polka dots. And who was it that said it? Was it Joyce that said how cute it would be as a Christmas ladybug? You could do it in red. Yeah, Joyce said red and green. You could do a lot with that. I think that would be very, very cute. So those are the cards I have for you guys tonight. Again, I am so sorry that I only have 2 cards. It's been crazy around here. But you know what? Oh, wait. That one's not quite done yet. We have one last step. So I have a little bit of this ribbon, and it is the Lemon Lime Twist ribbon. You get it in a pack that's got this, as well as our Bubble Bath Pink. It's a little bit different type of ribbon. It doesn't look like this. And it is in the annual catalog. So I'm just tying a cute little tiny bow here. Make sure my little loops are, you know, about the same size. And this also pulls in that green of our leaf, so it doesn't look quite so random. A rule of thumb is to try to have, if you've got, you know, different colors, try to have 2 pieces of every color. Now, if it was just I don't know, a very small bit that really is inconsequential, you wouldn't necessarily need to apply that theory. But in this case, you know, that leaf is pretty good sized. So we want to make sure that we pull in something else of that color so that it looks intentional. And it gives it a little bit of balance. And I'm just going to use one of my glue dots here. And it is a little bit narrower ribbon. It's about 1/4 of an inch. So I just roll up my little glue dot. I kind of rolled it up in such a way that it got rolled all the way around my take your pick tool. And then put it on the back of your knot. And then I put it right here, like as if it was tied around the stem of the leaf. Now you can see the 2, oh, and there's one more part. This is so very important part. I can't believe I almost forgot it. She needs her dots. So here I have the adhesive backed sparkle gems. And these look very similar to the gems that we used on the other card, but these are actually raised gems. You can kind of see in the camera here, they're not flat like the other ones are, and they're silver, black, and gold. And we're going to use the black ones. So there's big and little ones, and she happens to have, big and little dots. And these gems are the perfect size for both. So get it on there. Look at her with her little sparkly dots. Whoops. Okay, come on, little dot. You get where you belong. That's so funny, John. John says he has a friend who introduces his wife as his first wife. There's a guy on TikTok that I watch. Actually, he and his wife always do their videos together, and he always calls his wife his ex-girlfriend, and she gets so mad, and he says, "What? You're not my girlfriend anymore. That makes you my ex-girlfriend." Okay, there we go. Now, when I lay my embellishments down, I mentioned this before, I do lay them down pretty lightly, because then if they aren't right where I need them, as you've seen me do tonight where maybe they weren't covering the little circle quite where I wanted them to, if you do it lightly, it's really easy to lift them back up again with your take, like that. Just lift it back up with your take your pick tool. My #1 favorite tool. There we go. Now, isn't she beautiful, and she's sparkly, and everybody deserves to be sparkly. Okay, I mean it this time. Now it's done. And you can see on the 2 different cards I had the leaf and the ladybug going different directions. So it really doesn't matter whether it's pointing in or out. They both balance as long as you have your ladybug going a different direction from the leaf. So if your leaf is pointing in, have your ladybug point out. That just gives it some balance when you do that. So let's go ahead and clean up our mess here and just kind of take a peek at everything that we created tonight. If you enjoyed what you saw, I would love it if you would give me some hearts and thumbs up and all that good stuff. Oh, I'm seeing some good stories on here. Hang on, we got to see what everybody's saying. Let's see. John said when he was first dating Sheila, he called her Carol. 40 years later, and he still hasn't lived it down. You know, John, I have to say I don't think I would have let you live that one down either. That is pretty funny. And 40 years, congratulations. That is amazing. Let's see. Oh, thank you. Let's see. Nell says about 2 months after they were married, her husband introduced her as his girlfriend. Good. That's another good one. See, I just love stories like that. I just think they're so funny, you know. And yeah, we're embarrassed when they happen, but they make good stories, right? Okay, so the 2 cards we made tonight, we have our adorable little ladybug and her polka dots. And then we also have this fun little card that, again, I did it using Magical Meadow, but you could really use any, I like the other one better. I'm going to put it up here. Okay, there we go. You could use any stamp set, any theme, any sentiment, and just use that layout, and it's quick and easy, and it doesn't require a whole lot of paper. So if you are interested in purchasing any of the amazing things that are in the new catalog, we also have some really fabulous new designer series papers that they brought out for a limited time. They're online only. You can see them on my website at heathersides.stampitup.net. But any purchases you need to make, I would love to earn your business. You can shop again at heathersides.stampitup.net. If your order is under $150, hey Teresa, I didn't see you sneak in. If your order is under $150, please use this host code. This is what helps me continue to provide the videos and prizes and such like that for free. But if your order is over $150, please do not use the code. You'll still have some free stuff coming to you from Stampin' Up, and I want to make sure that you are the one who gets those free goodies. So thank you guys for all the well wishes for surgery tomorrow. You know, I'm not stressed about it at all. I feel like I've got a really great team with my surgeon. I'm very much at peace about it, but I will keep you all posted as far as when I will be back in action stamping again because, well, you know, I can't stay away for too long. I'll miss you guys. So anyway, have a great rest of your week, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye-bye.